Roadrunners Hall of Fame Class of 2024, Derrick Clark. Derrick Clark first arrived at Metro State as an assistant coach for the program in 1997 and was an integral part of the program, winning 2 national championships under head coach Mike Dunlap.
Well, he was working, putting computers in boxes and was working in Sacramento, and I tried to stay in touch with him, and I called him up and asked him if he would be interested in coming to Metro State and being a coach, and we would groom him and take it from there. So we had that kind of relationship, a very special relationship.
After a couple of assistant coaching gigs with Air Force and the University of Colorado, the head coaching job at Metro State became available, and Dunlap thought he would be a perfect fit.
Smart, and he took great pride in film, in his individuals, but everything was done to a T. Derrick was a good student, and like I said, he's the kind of guy that ironed his T-shirts. I mean, everything that he did first class. You know, he knew what to do. He put his own fingerprint on it, as witnessed by some of the fine players that are going into the Hall of Fame that I had nothing to do with. He had everything to do with, but Derrick had the whole package.
Success came right away for Clark. His first team went 22-8, and he would win the Central Region title in year 2.
It was different because you could definitely tell he was trying to use the models that he had, the examples that he had before him with Coach Dunlap and Coach Derrick. He did a really good job, I think, his first year, you know, learning from his own mistakes. And looking back, I didn't know they were mistakes at the time, but looking back now, I can say, yeah, he probably could have done this a little bit better, but he adjusted quickly.
Then he took the program to elite heights, leading the program to 3 regular season conference titles, 2 more regional titles, a trip to the national championship in 2013, and to the national semifinals the next season.
The minute he walked through the door, the bar was raised for the expectations. It was no longer, we're just trying to win our conference, we're trying to win our conference, win the regional, push in, compete for a national championship.
And while the success on the court easily puts Coach Clark in the Hall of Fame, it was his off-the-court success with his student athletes that left a mark with his players.
I can't tell you how many times we went to feed the homeless at Denver Rescue Mission. We cleaned up around the campus a little bit, and it was always leave the place better than you found it. Again, raising that bar of being just a better human being overall. Supporting our fellow teams. Countless volleyball games, countless soccer games, baseball, softball games. We even went to some tennis and cross-country runs.
And in 2013, he was named the National Coach of the Year.
Yeah, if I wore 10.5 shoes, Derrick filled them and made them size 14. So Derrick had weight in his wagon in terms of trying to keep that thing up there, and he just pushed it right to the top of the crown. So, I just think he's a very special human.
Derrick Clark, Roadrunners Hall of Fame Class of 2024.
What a fun night, huh? And what do you think? Let's shake this thing up a little bit. I'm glad that Derrick's up here because this is the thing that he's as modest and humble as anybody that I know, so he's roasting right now. So I just want to cover a couple items before we delve into Derrick, and it's about Derrick, so I'll be quick with it, but not too quick. I want to welcome everybody here, and for sake of you understanding how the tree grows with the seeds of education, the name of Metro State, and the privilege of perhaps being the front porch, there was never a time where the academics took second place. It was a chance to highlight faculty members like Joe Quattrochi, who are special in the way that they taught, but maybe didn't get the adulation, sometimes undeserved, that we got. So I think, he's a beautiful satellite, but there are many. So without further ado, what I would like to do is just have you visually see all the former players that are here on the men's side and the women's side. And I will tell you right now, I'm very, very proud of the 2010-11 women's team. So without further ado, if you could stand, please. Former players and coaches. Everybody there you go. Could you stay standing for a second? So as you can see, there are people everywhere, and they are carrying the name of Metro State to their families, to Australia, around the world. And that's the beauty of Metro State, is that it's as diverse a university as there is in the United States of America. Give yourselves a hand. A lot of times a presenter will say, you know, as they're sliding through, last but not least, well, first and foremost is my wife, Molly. And I would just like to frame in all those people that are connected to Derrick and extended family. Please stand. I want to congratulate all the inductees, specifically Luke Kendall, Mark Worthington, Mitch McCarron, and again, 2010-11 women's basketball team. I want to congratulate you. And the thing that you don't understand is I've walked before this, Joan has. We're in the Hall of Fame here, and you're stamping your last name. And as time goes on, 50 years from now, somebody's going to read about you, and that legacy is so special. And it's an honor to be here as a presenter for Derrick Clark. In particular, I want Lori to stand. You know, please, Lori Clark. And Isaiah and Alexis, please stand as well. You guys deserve a hand. I want to thank, in particular, my little brother, Brian Katz, and his wife, Lori, for being here, but he's the one who introduced me to Derrick, so there's always a history. Please stand. Sometimes the pace, your own anxiety to be up here, you bypass things. And I want to be a little bit slower with how I do this. And again, the point is to get to Derrick. The focus is Derrick. And instead of kind of going through records and the coaching aspect, I think it's very important to understand the essence of Derrick. I first met him, he was in a cast. He was sent to Cal Lutheran with a player that had a lot of glitz. It was going to be a very hard, Damon Ridley, to get him to commit to our program because we didn't have scholarships. And Derrick was sent with a stamp on his head by Brian Katz and said, it's a can't miss. And I didn't want to do it. And then so Derrick came down in a cast. He had broken his patella or his kneecap. And so one of the things is we would like to do is throw the recruits into our family to see how they respond and see how they interact. Well, Derrick was babysitting our eldest, who was a wild man from Borneo, Holt. And so we came back into the house, and he had Holt out, and there was blood coming from the side of Holt's eye, and Derrick was babysitting. I said, what happened? He said, well, he just wanted to run through the sprinkler and have some fun, so I turned it loose. And he said, I don't ever want to do that again. But my point is that as he was there, we had to evaluate him in a cast, so he never got to play. And what was stunning about him was his self-confidence, and his parents did a great job with Derrick. Always knew who he was. He really, really did. And I recruited him off his personality: quiet, humble, strong, smart. And that was the beginning of a relationship. He became the best player at Cal Lutheran. We became ranked #1 in the country off his back. We went to the Sweet 16, a school who had never sniffed that. And I would like to share this with you, is that the coaching's fine. You're an orchestra leader. Administrators do their job to provide for coaches so they can do their job, and it's of utmost importance. But you are your players. And so my point is that I've never forgotten that. It's a player's game. It's really, really important that my success, our success, we become successful simply because we have talented players who have a desire to compete and see how good that they can become. Derrick was the single best competitor that I've ever coached. Give him a hand. He is a proud father. He is a husband. He is a former coach. And going through that journey, when you are the head coach and you're asking him to do things, the phrase is, "I've got your back." If he ever wore a t-shirt every day, is, "I always felt comfortable by being to the left because he could be wherever I asked him to go, and he had presence when he walked into a room." And he would always do his job with great, great pride. All right, and that's how he carries himself today. And if I had another son, it would be Derrick Clark, without question. Here you go, Derrick.
This is what happens when you follow an English major right here. So grammatically, it's going downhill from there, all right? Just warning you now. I asked you to have some grace, and I asked you to have some patience with me because I'm going to take my time. I want to be respectful, but I don't stand on this stage alone. There are so many people that have been an important part of my life, and you just don't get here solo. So those people along the way in this journey are the people that are important. And I'm glad that I got this recognition, and it seems like an individual thing, but it is not. And again, those people are up here with me, so I thank you for that. And by the way, great recruiting trip to the Dunlaps, and then I damaged their son, and here's your son back. He didn't have this before, but that was the deal there. But man, many, many years ago, and it's about relationships, and it's about just love. And that is my message over the next few minutes. Lori Clark, would you please stand? You're not getting off the hook. You're not getting off the hook, but you can sit down now. Man, I tell you what, my wife, there's not enough words to describe to you how important she is. I would not be standing up here in front of you if it was not for my wife. Tremendous mother, tremendous wife, tremendous friend. I can go all the way down the list. I really appreciate her. You know, when you're married, you have these ebbs and flows, and everybody goes through it, and then that's the test of who you have beside you. And I can tell you, and I'm not an emotional guy, but I feel something coming here. So I said grace and patience, so thank you on that. But I tell you what, if it wasn't for my wife, I guess I understand it now. When people come up here and they break down, I understand it now. I'm a victim. I can't say enough about the love and appreciation. I hit the lottery with my wife, Lori Clark, so I thank you. I got a lot of note cards. Coach has called me on the technology. He's on his phone. I'm old school. I like note cards. So, MSU staff and family, this has been 15 years in some form or fashion of my life on this campus. in my interactions. I'm sorry. This time doesn't count that I'm crying. Kidding. Todd, I thank you for your work. John Keesman, Missy Lane, we'll get two more, but I love you and I appreciate you. Eric Lansing, everything always looks great from a video standpoint because he's been doing it for many, many years. Rob White, you read the articles on the website, and Rob White is the guy that's been responsible for that. Joe Q, we had the social yesterday, and I understand that he drove a lot of that for that to happen. And Joe, I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you for doing that. And Joe has always worked behind the scenes with me and circled back, and I appreciate the friendship and the many years that this has gone on. I love you. President Davidson, tremendous leader. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate where you're going to take this university and where you have already taken it, and you are appreciated and acknowledged, so just know that. I want to congratulate the 2024 Hall of Fame class. I'm going to take some time and speak about each one of them. I hope that you can bear with me. Tanya, your staff, your players, tremendous. Tanya and I came in together in 2010. We were hired around the same time, and first time being a head coach for myself. And I remember two things about that team and those young ladies. One, they kept winning and winning and winning. Number two, they enjoyed doing it. When you watch them and you watch them compete, there was an element of fun when you watched them. It was pure. And there's no coincidence. They had a lot of great talent as well, too. So they knock off 30 that first year. This is our first year. And I could just feel Joan saying, okay, big boy, what do you got going? So she didn't say that. That never happened. But I felt it nonetheless. But congratulations to you all. Tremendous. You set the bar extremely high, and it's going to be hard to clip that bar. But so, again, very much congratulations. Mark Worthington's not here, but he is tremendous. I had the privilege of watching him come in as an 18-year-old and leave as a grown, full-fledged man. Well-rounded, somebody you wanted to be around. And it came full circle, and we had an opportunity to work again together. And I just want to say to Mark, because at some point in time he's going to get this, is that, man, job well done. You're a stud and well-deserved. And again, man, so proud of him. Luke Kendall. Well, what do you say about Luke Kendall? I can say a lot. That's a whole nother speech right there. I'm going to be respectful. I can't tell the stories anyways, man. It's more than rated R, buddy. And his beautiful wife, Alex, who I had the pleasure of meeting last night. And I tell you what, you outkicked your coverage with that one, Luke, for sure, for sure. But Luke, just real quick, he was probably one or two times being kicked out of practice away from not being here this night and being a Hall of Famer. And that's true. But Luke just had this tremendous spirit about him, the confidence, the smarts, and you know what he is as a player. But he was just a guy that you wanted to be around. And that's the highest compliment you can give somebody is, man, I love your company. So, Luke Kendall, congratulations, my man. Ms. McCarron, what can you say? Who would have thought we'd be on the same stage, man, sharing this honor together? I definitely, the first couple of weeks you were on campus, wouldn't have thought that. And Mitch, I told you along the way, I said, hey, man, you might be all right. I did say might, probably. But, and I'm kidding, tongue in cheek. Tremendous gentleman. And the talent goes without saying, and very smart and humble. So I will leave it at that, but I'm so proud of you, and what an effort to get on that plane and come over here and share this special moment with us. I salute you and your beautiful family, Abby and your kids. You're a champ, and you always will be, and you got a spot right here, man. You're my guy. Love you. Okay, I got to circle back. I took care of the big dog, Lori. My eldest is not here, Ashley. Some of you don't know that. I have an eldest, but I do have Isaiah and I do have Alexis here, and I couldn't be more proud that our kids are respectful, and when they walk into a room, they know how to behave themselves, and you should not take that lightly when you're rearing kids, and because that's a direct reflection of who you are, your kids. And I couldn't be more proud of my beautiful daughter, Alexis, and then Isaiah, and he's getting there. He's getting there. He's starting to get a little taller, and I'm getting excited. I'm getting very excited about my kids. Juanita A. Clark, that is my mother from North Carolina, Winston-Salem, North Carolina. She is with us this evening. Thank you. Thank you. She is the daughter of Isaiah, Gwen, and Irma Gwen. My son, his name is Isaiah. Those were my grandparents, and they were phenomenal. I want to just talk about my mother. I can talk a long time, but I'm not going to talk a long time, but I want to get to the heart of the matter. My mother, a couple things of note. Breast cancer survivor, asthma almost took her out. Not probably. Strength comes in a lot of ways. Strong woman. Strong woman. I have her stubbornness, which sometimes serves me well, sometimes it doesn't, but amazing. My mother went back later in life and got a RN. She became a registered nurse. And she went through her trials and tribulations, and she just kept marching. And she set a tremendous example for me. And it's the strongest person I know. And I love you. And I appreciate everything that you have done for us. And I appreciate your courage and strength. Thank you, Mama. My pop, James Clark, was supposed to be here. He lives down in Colorado Springs. Something didn't allow him to be here. Retired Master Sergeant in the United States Air Force, served our country, and he put the love of basketball in my heart. He did a lot of things that were great, but infusing that love of basketball among other things. And so I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledged him, even though he's not here physically. I wanted to make sure that I gave him his just due. Jim and Joan Wilbur, that is Lori's parents, my mother and father-in-law. They are tremendous. They moved from Arizona to Colorado to be with us and be closer to their grandchildren. I appreciate you guys. You accepted me from day one as I got involved with your daughter. We're knocking on the door of 20 years marriage, and it was 8 years in some form and fashion before that. But from day one, Jim and Joan have welcomed me, and they are just salt of the earth people. I love you to death, and thank you for what you do and you continue to do. Okay. Tim Innerbitson, Burnell Pinkerton, Coach Mike Morris, Dale Natividad, Foothill High School. Those were my coaches. Quick story. So my sophomore year, I didn't play my freshman year. My sophomore year, and this is not about my basketball career because there ain't much to tell there. But and my good friend Adrian Henson is back there with his lovely wife Tasha, and again, outkicked his coverage on that. Tasha is amazing. But 8th grade, from the time we're 53 now, my ace boom. So he'll remember this story. So Tim Innerbitson was our JV coach. And for whatever reason, we were in California, Sacramento. It was a beautiful day, 75 degrees. We had practice on that evening. And for whatever reason, I don't know who did this, and you remember this, Big A. We went and we skipped practice, and we played dunk ball. So you go to the little 6-foot hoops or whatever, and it was probably half the team that did that. I don't know what we were thinking. I can't tell you. I was 15 years old, stupid. But we did that. We had a ball. So this happened to coincide with the last game of the year, of our sophomore year. And we were dressed, and we were sitting on the bench thinking business as usual. So 4 minutes go by, 5 minutes go by. We get into a big hole. We're not playing. And I just thought, okay, he's just kind of, going to slap us around a little bit. Well, the game's damn near done. We don't get off the bench. We're sitting there in our game clothes, and Tim Ingebrigtsen is coaching the game like he does and doing a tremendous job. And I learned that was a class in coaching right there for me. I just didn't know it at the time. One is, respect practice. And number two, you let your teammates down and everybody that's involved with that team. And so even though I didn't know it at the time, I learned the lesson. And so Tim Ingebrigtsen, tremendous. Dale Natividad was the head coach for my varsity year, and he was a big, good-looking guy, gregarious, but he was rough, and he would get after you. And I appreciate that because he took an investment in, hey, man, you might have something. This is how I'm going to coach you. I'm going to coach you hard. And so I was already, before I got to coach Dunlap and before I got to coach Brian Katz, I was already in it. I already knew what it was to be coached hard, and I appreciated it. And it has served me well, not just basketball, but in my life. So I appreciate those guys that are so instrumental. But that's Foothill High School, Sacramento, California. Okay, Steve Spencer, Jeff Young, Alan Major, Brandon Hayes. And yes, that Brandon Hayes, he started early. But these were my coaches at Cal Lutheran University. And they were tremendous, and they showed me what it was like to not only handle yourself in a classy way, but I was learning how to be an assistant coach by watching those guys and what they did and how they handled the players and how they built relationships and how they were there when you were having a tough day. And so, 13 years of my, I think 23 years was being an assistant. And I loved every minute of it, but I learned from those guys. So I love them to death, and I thank them. And I'm getting here, but I got a couple more things I got to knock out, so please bear with me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Okay. Brian Katz. He's right there. Brian Katz. And his beautiful wife, Lori, as well, is with him. And I'm going to describe a lot of things with Coach Katz, but overachiever is one of them. Look at Lori, and that's a fact. Coach, I hit you with that because back in 1990, I came to you in 89, 1990, we had this practice where you ran us to the brink of death. Literally, it felt like that. And so I always thought, hey, if I ever got an opportunity just to flick them a little bit, I would do that. So I just did that. So I love you, Coach, but fair is fair. My mother fell in love with Coach Katz, like from the first conversation. He talked to my mother more than he talked to me, and it wasn't a recruiting battle to get me by any means. I don't want to paint that picture right there, but this is about relationships and how they start. And he literally talked to my mother more than he talked to me on the recruiting thing. And I believe it was his first head coaching job at the collegiate level. You can correct me later, Coach, but I'm pretty sure it is. So I was one of the first guys, I believe, according to him, that he was recruiting. And maybe that was the inexperience of being the first-time head coach, and maybe you didn't know what you were doing yet, Coach. Maybe you did. Again, I said I would flick you a little bit. But Coach said to me, and this still is entrenched in my mind, he said, I want you. Now think about this. When you start to figure out your next transition, my thing was, I just want to continue playing hoop. I just want to continue to ball. I don't care where it is. I just want to keep playing because I love it. And then he said, I want you. And I never forgot that because he was saying there's value that you don't even see in yourself. He saw something. And so I will never forget that. And Coach, like on my worst day, hey, man, how you doing? That phone is blowing up. That tells you all you need to know. I didn't say anything about basketball. I said the relationship. So, Coach, I love you. I love Lori. Thank you for just being a presence in my life. Thank you so much, Coach. All love. I only have a couple more note cards left. I get Mark Worthington time anyway. He's not here. Okay. Mike Dunlap. Okay, what do you say that hasn't been said already? Not much. But you can't mention Mike Dunlap without mentioning Molly Dunlap. And the minute that I was in their presence and I met them, Molly has always had a motherly nurturing. And she always could get you calm or put you in a state where you could just talk. And, you know, that was my relationship first and foremost with Molly, to be honest with you. Because, again, Coach didn't know what he was getting, but Molly would sit there with you, and an hour would go by before you knew it. You were just enjoying it. So, Molly, I love you. I'm going to talk about your husband just a little bit here, but thank you so much. I love you many, many years, and it's still here. So thank you so much. I mean, I could tell you what Coach is in terms of X's and O's and what he does and his, how he gets the best out of people. But that's what I want to tell you, though. His unique gift is getting the best out of people. And sometimes that comes with trying a lot of different methods, not just one, because the players aren't one size fits all. And everybody responds to something a little bit different. Where Coach, I think, appealed to me is he learned to kind of challenge me a little bit because I like a challenge quietly, but he never did it in a loud way. It was always, hey, come into the office. Man, you shouldn't be finishing third or fourth in sprints. You're a thoroughbred. So he was coaching me from a standpoint of really building me up at the end of the day. And don't get me wrong, there's the opposite end of the spectrum where he cracked the whip and said, hey, man, get going. That part of it, that tough love that I was telling you about with Dale Natividad, same deal, and I enjoyed it. And most loyal guy that you'll ever meet, when you're down, you get a phone call. And it's consistent. It's not just a one-off. So, Coach, I love you. I appreciate your presence in my life, and thank you for everything you've ever done for me and you continue to do. Nothing but love. Jeff Bisdelic, Jeff Reynolds, Steve McLean, John Peterson was a really good, and I learned a lot of things from John just by looking from afar as a young coach and how he dealt with players. He's really good, at connecting with players. And then Brady Bergeson is sitting right there. Tremendous. I remember, just real quick, Brady was a new guy on staff, and I had started to get some years under me, not a whole lot, but was about the most experienced guy on staff because, Brandon, JP did their thing, and then the natural progression of things, keep it in the family, next man up kind of thing. So I'm learning, but also Brady came in, he was fresh and new, and man, I tell you, from point A to where he's at right now, I can't tell you how much respect I have for you, Brady, and how good I think you are as a coach. And obviously, you're a great gentleman too. You're a great gentleman, great friend. I appreciate you and love you. Almost there. Okay, Adam Wall, Michael Ball, Booker Harris, Jonathan Morris, my man, J-Mo, Demetrius Miller, Michi, Corey Whitwer, Tyler Cooper, and these are some of the assistants that I have had over the years. And I can tell you this, like I said, you don't stand up here alone. When you have assistants that do their job at a high level, magic can happen. And there was times where we had moments of magic because those guys, we just rolled up our sleeves and went to work. And I love those guys, and I appreciate everything they've done. And you can't take back, what we did and how we rolled together. So I appreciate those guys dearly. So, you could have a nice car. It's expensive. It's top of the line. And if you don't have gas to put in it, or in some cases a battery, I think electric. I don't know the physics of it, but you get where I'm going. There's a source. There's a source that makes that beautiful car go. That is the players. So we as coaches, we get to do what we do. As I look around here, I see all these players from different eras. And they don't, when they greet each other, say, oh, you played such and such. They just say, oh, you're a Roadrunner. And so that love and brotherhood exists. He drove it at the end of the day, Coach Dunlap, I'm saying. But you don't get where you're going as a coach without the players. Forget about what system you run. Forget about how smart you think you are. Forget about the plays you can draw up. It is about the players and them being willing to be a part of something and sacrifice and hard work, and they see it as being important. And when you get that sometimes with the team, it can be very, very special. So past and present, I want to make sure that I salute players. And please give them a round of applause, all of them, all you guys. Because you're what makes it go. Coach Fickey, I forgot to mention you. Thank you. And that's a big blanket thank you, because you're doing some things. You're moving this thing. We're pulling for you. Mostly everybody in this room. There's a Mesa State guy over there, so you got to deal with that, big fella. I'm kidding. You're doing a tremendous job, and I appreciate your efforts in keeping this thing going. Thank you so much, you and your staff. I know Matt's here as well, too. And just real quick, famous last words. So I talked about players and coaches and the role of players and what they do, and we know that they carry the mountain share of it. But, you know, sometimes as a coach, you do get it right, and you do a couple things that are pretty good that you can feel good about. So let me tell you, West Liberty game, 2012, 2013. Jay, you'll remember this. Mitch, you'll remember this. There were some moments in that game. So some of you have heard this, so I'm sorry if I'm being redundant. So we went in that game. It was a national semifinal to get to the national championship game, so the stakes were high. We came in as an underdog. And you see I'm putting air quotes on here because I don't buy underdog by any means. But it galvanized our group. We had an edge to us. We had a short time to prepare for the game. And earlier in the week, and I had mentioned Coach Derrick. So earlier in the week, we put in a play called triple. And taking the ball out of bounds, it was a pivotal moment in the game. And we practiced it earlier in the week. We had just put it in. And it was a good play. So there was a dead ball. And the way this game was unfolding is we were up 13 at the half. And as you know, when you're dealing with two giants playing, there's always going to be a run that's coming. And as coaches, we know that game is never over. And we knew it was coming. They got a three-point play with 3 minutes and 2 seconds left and cut it to a one-point game. And we had a dead ball timeout. It was our ball for whatever reason underneath, called triple for the dynamic Brandon Jefferson, BJ. And we ran this play, and the stars aligned. He came off, he hit a three, we went up 4, and the game was done. Now, what's the moral to the story that I'm telling you here? Because I started this little thing with players. Had he missed a shot, was it a great play that I drew up, that we drew up? Maybe not, but it's about players at the end of the day. So I want to really make that point loud and clear and bring it home. Okay, I'm done. I have 30 more seconds, so I'm not done. Joan, you thought I forgot about you. I would never. I would never. Joan McDermott gave me an opportunity to be a head coach. Joan, I will always be in gratitude for that opportunity. So when I left Metro, when I left Coach Dunlap and I took a different path and it was the right time for me, we had always stayed in touch. Hey, how you doing? Not all the time, but every once in a while. And she never said, you know, how's the basketball going? How you doing? How you doing? So when we talk, it was a check-in. We were just checking in on each other, you know, and we did that. When I left here, we did that. And, you know, the job became open, and Brandon Hayes did a tremendous job. He won a lot of games. So I was not coming into a situation where, oh, you got to build this thing. No, man, this thing was already here. It was already here. But what I'm saying is, I will never forget the opportunity, Joan, that you gave me. And you had trust in me, you had faith in me, and our friendship has been galvanized over the years. We can go a year without talking and pick up the phone, and then here we go again. We had that kind of relationship. I love you, I respect you to the utmost, and thank you so much for the opportunity, Joan. I really appreciate you. Okay. With that being said, I know I overstayed my welcome. This is a special place. Metro State, MSU Denver, I was a part of both, so I have to work both of those in there. For me, this environment has helped me be the man I am in terms of, you know, just continuing to develop. And that's what MSU Denver is. It opens its arms to anyone that wants an opportunity, and you can plateau to the next level in this environment right here. And this is what it should be about. So I thank you all for being here from the bottom of my heart. It's a tremendous turnout, and I'm humbled, but I thank you. And again, nothing but love for MSU Denver. Thank you so much.